All right, thanks for coming out, braving the heat. Adnan is our guest speaker today. He's going to talk about the American Allied Veterans and Supporters. Anytime we deploy, wherever it is in the world, we can't do it by ourselves. So there are people who are in country, like Adnan. Then there are third country nationals who are not from that country. They take care of a lot of things. They help with, the normal stuff like cooking, cleaning, but they also do things like intelligence work, interpreters. They understand the local customs and traditions, which even though the military publishes books for every country that we go to, for instance, back there's a Bosnia area handbook that we were given. Nobody has the time to read all that. It's far better to talk to somebody who actually lives there and knows the people. So while that's a great help to us, it's also kind of a double-edged sword. Because when we leave, in Bosnia you have Muslims, Serbs, Croats. In Afghanistan you have moderate Afghanis and you have the Taliban. Iraq, you've got any number of different religious beliefs. So by offering to help the American government or the United Nations or whatever peacekeeping force that is, sometimes that puts their lives at risk when we leave. Look what happened in Afghanistan. We ended up leaving a lot of people behind, just like we did in Vietnam. And those people, if they lived through it, they had a rough life after that, all because they had helped the Americans. So it was great that Adnan came up with this idea. We have a lot of people who helped us in these various theaters that we've been to and who have come to America, but there's no real support system for them. After the Vietnam War, a lot of the Montagnards and South Vietnamese came to the United States. Well, they weren't veterans, even though they had literally fought for us, so they formed their own support groups. And that's what Adnan is doing with his organization, which we're happy to support. So with that, Adnan, I'll turn it over to you.
Mark, thank you so much. I truly appreciate for kind words, and this is a very good summary. I'm really lucky to know Mark and also your Mayor of Fairborn, Dan Kiprak. It's really great support. Thank you all for coming. I truly appreciate your time here. Even the heat is it's bearable, but it's not pleasant still. So I truly appreciate you coming here. I understand it's a very small group here, but we can do interaction if you like. Anytime you raise your hand for questions and so on. I'm going to continue with my presentation here. I'm going to talk about a few different things here. I'm going to definitely focus on American Allies, Veterans and Supporters group. Even I start building the logos on the polo shirt here. So Mark is going to take a picture of that.
Well, a picture of you, you handsome devil.
All right, thanks. I haven't heard that for a long time, so I appreciate it. So, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about myself, that you can see the background. How did I come here? I'm going to definitely talk about state of mind. State of mind means what was my attitude through the history all the time toward the United States and toward to the democracy and free world. Because you have to be a certain way to be raised or built in order to determine what's the right, what's the wrong. Even if the government is presenting to you, hey, I'm your boss, and so on, so no, something is not right. I've seen something better. So it's not my fault because, Mark, you have a Mick Jagger in this country like Rolling Stones and everything else. So that was my passion and love. So for the United States here, I'm an ordinary guy here. I'm a regular guy. So you see that work experience. I'm an advanced lead engineer. I work for GE Aerospace. I have a title. I have a regular job. My wife and my daughter, we live in Mason. By the way, my wife, she couldn't come here today because yesterday my daughter, she finally got her PhD certificate for the medical school. She's a doctor now, and we are celebrating. Many friends and families are coming to our house to celebrate that. So these days are celebration to her success.
Wow,
so my apologies.
congratulations.
Thank you. And speaking of that, I have a very successful American life here, so I can't complain. So everything was really in the right place. So wherever I go, wherever I present myself, people are with open arms. They accept, the proposals. They accept me at the job, and I changed many companies and corporations. So I was really respectful. I can't really complain. So, but I used to have my consulting company as research and analysis. I was adjunct professor at the Mount St. Joseph University, Catholic University in Cincinnati. So very nice community, and I was teaching there international marketing and consumer behavior. Also, quite often I am a guest speaker at Northern Kentucky University to give a speech on research. So Georgia Pacific, I used to work for them. The Koch brothers, I don't know if you know them, they own the Georgia Pacific. The Wild Flavors, Procter & Gamble. So I have a bachelor's degree from University of Sarajevo and a master's degree from Northern Kentucky University. Later on, now you'll see my background, how did I come here, and my initiatives for American Allied veterans and supporters. So where I'm from, so you see that here, Yugoslavia is right southwest Balkan area. Which one is the
Right button will advance.
No, the pointer?
There isn't one.
There's no, okay. So Yugoslavia is just the border with Austria, Hungary, Romania, Bulgaria, Albania, Greece. And so that was the country that was built of the 6 different republics. Now they're independent countries. They're independent states. Slovenia, famous for our First Lady, Melania is from there. Croatia, famous for many soccer players. Bosnia, famous for the war in 1992, 1995. Serbia, famous for sports people, but also some kind of regimes used to be there. Milosevic, Slobodan Milosevic. Macedonia, famous for the Alexander the Great. He was from that region. And so the country was built after the World War II. President Tito was, at that time, he started building the country, and you will see, you will hear how I'm connected to some of the leaders through my life. So the Bosnia is right in the middle of the Yugoslavia, and the top dot is the city where I was born. The city was named Zenica or Zenica. The pronunciation, it's a very industrial city. It's about 15 miles away southeast. Sarajevo is the capital city there. So that's those 2 right dots. And I'm going to spend a little time about my parents, just a little time. My father was a ranger and forester. Mom was a housewife. Father was a World War II veteran. That he was joined the army at that time to fight against the Nazis when he was 60. So he told me some stories from the battle, and so he was a 16-year-old, and he was in the battle, and him and his brothers were fighting the Nazis. Later on, he became a very respectful forester in the city where I was born. But also on the side, in order to gain income, he would produce the plum brandy. Like what you have here, bourbon and whiskey. Plum brandy is a common drink over there. Not for drinking, it was for sale, that we can build the house, family house, and so we would sometimes drink, but not was the, that was not purpose for only, it was for sale purpose. People are still talking about his quality of his plum brandy. When I go to visit over there, your father used to produce the good plum brandy. Mother was a housewife, but very intelligent, only elementary school. When the people come to bring the plums for the fermentation, so the roads with horses, carriage, and the people carry on the shoulders the plums, and we would buy that plums. My mom used to weigh that how much people brings, and she would give them money back. The weight that she would use that that can just only weight about 25 kilos. She would weight about 200 pounds, somehow with a slider. I never figured out how she's doing that. Recently, I watched the the YouTube video, the Babylonians actually developed that method that you can use the leverage and scale. You know what I'm talking about, right? So it's unbelievable, and only elementary school that she was, how much she was like intelligent in that. So those are my parents. So, and father was a forester, and I would used to travel with him through the village when I was a little, through the different type of village. And this is the landscape. Muslim village, Catholic village, Orthodox Christian village. He would greet people on the way that they like to be greeted. He would identify the leaders in the village, and he would just even stop by for a few minutes, ask for the water, say hello to them, and so. However, he would find out, he would have intel who is stealing the forest, who are the poachers, but not from them, from different people, because he didn't want to put them in jeopardy. So as the leaders, probably he would find out intel from someone who already committed the crime and he wanted to go get back. I never find out who are the intel people, but he would know who is stealing the woods. Very low level World War II veteran, respected, but you know, very respectful. About 300-400 people came on his funeral when I was over there, so it's kind of big size. So that's my father, and I'm very proud of that. So even now, these days in the city where I was born, they call me Forrester, you know, like a little insult nickname, but I'm very proud of that. So, two other dots. I finished the elementary school, and I finished the high school, electromechanical technology in the city where I was born. And by that time, Yugoslav People Army was mandatory. It was obligation that every individual, healthy individual, must attend that. Tito, at that time, 1983, he was already died. He died 1981, 2 years before I would attend the Yugoslav People Army. President Tito, he was a communist leader, some way dictator, however, respected, useful dictator for the Western world. He came here in the United States to visit the United States about like 4 times, especially about President Kennedy. And so there was a different shade of the dictatorship, different shade of the communism, and so, which I will mention that a little bit more about it, but it was a still socialist country. I'm not defending that, it was just our time at that time. So the two left dots, the city where I was actually attended Yugoslav People Army. It's a split in Croatia, that's the name of the city, and I was show up at the gate, and they said, "Congratulations, military police." That's exactly the uniform that, and I said, "I know you are military police, but what I'm going to say?" They said, "No, you are going to be military police." Usually the young individuals, they don't know what they're going to be, what they're going to do. They can be chefs, they can be scuba divers, they can be skydivers, they don't know. Recruiting doesn't tell you which branch you're going to attend. So I was military police, and I said, that's fine, so I'm going to deal with that. When I was in high school and elementary school, I used to be in judo, I used to be in rugby, all that characteristics, and with recruitings, basically they would actually noted that, and then certain individuals, certain cognitive testings and so on, so probably they would direct young people what branch they're gonna serve. So the other dot is basically after 6 months when I finished my training, I was transferred to another Croatian city, Zadar, which I will talk a little bit more about. So Yugoslav People Army split was the barrack was right in the middle of the city, top left picture, in Croatia, just surrounded with the buildings, but we would have trainings, we would have dogs and everything, military police. So it was a very intense training. I saw the bomb here. I thrown numerous bombs on the training, the hand bombs, hand grenade. This guy, I assembled and disassembled numerous times. Kalashnikov, I think at this time I can even blindfold disassemble and assemble. So that's how much I was trained. So the top right picture, that's the newer version of the building, but that's the building that looks like for where we used to sleep in. So bottom left is basically the campus in different city where I was transferred in Zadar. And you see the track field? So I would train that. It was easy every night for me. I would do this 10 circles. And that's the building where we used to sleep on the bottom right side. So it's the military police. On the corner of the left picture, on the corner where the white building is, that's where the small, the office for the military police was, where we used to greet the officers, soldiers, and the personnel when they come here. So now, I'm going to talk about duties in Yugoslav People Army. Remember, I was only 18 years old. I finished the training, and they assigned me. We were trained for VIP protections and anti-terrorist, the unit. So 18-year-old, and so the guy on the left side was the President Tito of Yugoslavia. That he is basically meet with the President Kennedy, right? Tito on the right side, and the guy behind on the right side in the white uniform, that's the Admiral Vilovic. Basically, I was assigned for 4 months to be a VIP or Secret Service for that guy. So Tito was already died, but I was exposed to this guy on the right side. He was a very nice guy that I can be like with him, escort him sometimes to the office or just be around his house and so. That's how training goes. Training, numerous other trainings was basically during the Yugoslav People Army. You see those license plates? Do you know what they are? Those are the diplomat, the license plates.
Okay.
Yeah. So they would ask us. Let me give you the little flavor of Yugoslav people. It's a tough army. So in a time, the soldiers, they were not allowed to take the civil uniform for 15 months. You are assigned as a soldier in Yugoslav People Army. You're supposed to be, so even sometimes when you go back home, you're supposed to stay in uniform. So to give, that's from World War I actually, when the people were returning back home, that's the actual tradition. They wanted to make sure that they are presentable as the soldiers. So, but no, it was not, the rules were a little bit relaxed when you go home. However, when you're in a campus, 100% the military uniform, no civil. But they ask us, call your parents and tell them to bring your civil uniform because we're going to do training that you can do the surveillance on the diplomat cards. So even we would have some uniforms there at the campus, and basically we would dress that, and they would put us on a checkpoint, and the people would be announced that can go from point A to point B, and when they announce their route, they're supposed to go there, whether we are talking about Netherlands embassy or US embassy, German embassy, anyone, they're supposed to go from point A to point B. They're not supposed to go roam around and take pictures of the certain buildings, areas, and such a thing. That's how the socialism was so protected. When I was transferred to different city in Croatia, that was 1984. What happened in 1984? Winter Olympic Games in Sarajevo. The whole country was basically up, make sure that there's no any incidents, that tourists and all the people that they come, they can be safe, they can feel safe. I was in Croatia, 500 miles away, but we were patrol and be 24/7 just to make sure that nothing is going to happen. So nothing's going to happen. So, but these diplomat cards, they have a diplomat immunity protection, right? But they're supposed to be, they're supposed to follow the rules. Here's a story. One time, they put us on a checkpoint, and the guy stopped, and he would communicate with the soldiers, that he would recognize them on the street, and so, you know, and something was fishy. And even sometimes they said, sometimes they give us Marlboro and the dollars and so on. And I said, something is fishy here, you know. So, you know, diplomats are not doing that, you know. Then I came back and I told the surgeon officer, I said, he was one of us. He said, what do you mean? He was one of us, one of our, you know, are you checking on our, you know, how testing us, quality control? He said, don't talk about this. And so basically, they would dress up our intelligent officer and give him like Mercedes or diplomat car with the license plates, and then they would roam around and they would basically check, are we going to make sure that we are going to report? And so that was how tough was that. And so I finally recognized that. So, but then I said, what are they going to do with the people they got the cigarettes? And then let them do it. And I said, are you going to punish them or something? No, nobody's punishing nobody here. So basically they are just collecting the data information, whether the person is going to be prone to bribery or something, so that they can be used, you know, later in the life and so on. So nothing, so you just learn about different characteristics from the early stage of the individuals. So it's unbelievable. So that's their method. So that's about the CD cards, so diplomat cards. I'm going to go back a little bit more. This bottom left, the campus was almost like a West Point campus. West Point, what you have here. The regular officers would be finished at their school for 4 years in trainings. Reserve officers would be trained as well. And many politicians are actually finished from Yugoslavia. They would finish the school there while they're doing the term Yugoslav People Army. I was there in 1983, 1984, 20 years before many famous politicians, but you know who else was here? Slobodan Milosevic, the president of Serbia, 20 years before. And I asked the people how's behavior, and so they said he was really good teacher and good like outgoing with the speech and everything at that time. That time he did not show any nationalism, but basically he completed the same school where I was military police at that time. So.
He was terrible. Wasn't he terrible leader?
Yeah, he was a terrible leader. He shows the high level of the nationalism. So, but this guy was the admiral on the right side of the picture. He was a Croatian, but he was a really good guy. So going back, let me tell you one more story that interesting from that time. When I was on training, one guy asked the officer, and let's keep in mind that our generations of officers, second generation after the World War II, they are really highly trained intelligence officers. So, and one guy asked on the training, hey, do you know who killed the President Kennedy? And the guy said, well, CIA. At that time, 1983, 1984, CIA. Then I moved to different campus, and I asked my superior, who was a colonel, and I asked him, hey, do you know who killed the President Kennedy? He said, but CIA. But listen, I'm going to send you to the library campus. Go ahead and study, take all books and study President Kennedy character and study President Khrushchev character, which was the president of Russia at that time. Come back to me, and I wanted to hear your conclusion. So for 2 or 3 weeks, I was reading the books about whatever was available. There, even one time I went to the city library just to pull out the material and everything. I just went to, and then I come back and I said, look like, we start conversation, look like both presidents, they didn't want to have war. They didn't, the two of them, they didn't they didn't talk any time about war. Looked like administrations. He said, you're right. CIA and KGB actually disagree with all their politics. And that time, he told me, the President Kennedy was executed 20 years ago. President Khrushchev of Russia was house arrest. So this is a well-known fact now. But imagine now, 83 and 84, I know the some facts, you know, some pieces of the information. I came here in this country, and then every year anniversary of the execution of the President Kennedy, God bless his soul, you know, so they're talking about Oswald, and so basically it doesn't matter who did it. So it was just the administration. That's what I know. So that's what they're talking. So interesting part, what I'm saying is, people are not talking about. People are writing the books. I find out about like 500,000 books were written here in the United States or worldwide about President Kennedy assassination. However, what other side? What did they know? Nobody ever explored to go back in Russia or their libraries or something. What do they know about execution? So that's my point. So anyway, so it was tough for me to all the time swallow that the story. So, and war in Bosnia started. I finished my agricultural university engineering. Never liked to be in military or anything related to military. So not just because I hated it, it's just it was not in me. So you know, I wanted to go either forestry or agriculture university. So in 1992, war started first. The disconnection, Serbia attacking to Slovenia, then attacking to Croatia, and then Bosnia. In Bosnia, it was a bloody war. And then, and I was there in Sarajevo when war started. I joined the unit that was elite unit in Sarajevo that defend the city, and I wasn't there for a long time. When I presented my characteristics to the second in command of the unit, he started like, you know, calling me for breakfast. Why don't we have a breakfast together, lunch together in the campus, you know? And I said, why he's just next to me? Because I was a little bit nervous because I know that he used to be intelligence officer, you know, in the Yugoslav Army. What's going on? And then one day he said, listen, I have an assignment for you. I was just thinking, because I know I joined late, I was just thinking he's going to send me somewhere like, so, you know, and I said, what is it? He said, the member of presidency needs to have a protection, VIP, you know, Secret Service. And based on your characteristics, and I know all the officers from Yugoslav Army where you were there, and so basically he was able to pull out all my characteristics, trainings, and everything. You know, I wrote some of them. You know, and then and I said, who's the member? And it happens to be one of the Serbian members, because the first layer of the Serbian presidency, they ran away from Sarajevo. They left the city, and those are the people that they start bombing the city. The automatically, by the politics automatization, they would actually replace them, because it has to be 2 members of, you see that here table, 2 members of Croatians, which are Catholics, 2 members of Bosniaks, which are Muslims, and 2 members of the Serbians, which are Christian Orthodox. So that's how the presidency during the war functioned. So the first layer left the city because they disagree with the current politics. That's how the war started. Second layer was replaced, and I was actually Secret Service for both of them, for the Serbian leaders for a short time, and then I would stick with one of them. The other one was, he already received his own Secret Service. So the reason why I put this gentleman with President Bush, his name was Ante Markovic. The politics was there that there was a Communist Party that they transferred to Socialist Party, but there was still like the communism, there was a nationalist. I didn't like both of them. Ante Markovic, he developed the party Economy and Social Justice. Very prosperous party, but nobody cares. When you are torn between two different sides, usually you are the loser. You have to pick one side or the other side, you know. So, and this guy was highly respected in European Union and United States. And President Bush told him 1990, would you like me to help you to dissolve Yugoslavia in a peaceful way? And he stated, we can do that. Nationalism already on the horizon. Yugoslav army is already rotten. Mark, sometimes he called it Serbian army. It becomes Serbian army at that time, which is nationalist, you know, one side army, not Yugoslav army. People imagine. I don't want to even mention that, but when the army turns against their own people, it's so terrible. It's so terrible. So he gave up, but the member of the presidency that was his first helper was the guy that I actually basically I was responsible for in the presidency. Later on, he decided to leave as well. But let me tell you, being Secret Service for the Serbian people in Sarajevo was terrible. We were thinking that they need maybe protection against the citizens, and so maybe the Bosniaks are going to be like looking for the revenge and so on. So no, the Serbian generals will purposely target them and chase them to put the pressure on them to leave the city and actually give the example to the people that the Serbs can leave the city. So one time I remember we were in 5 different locations with the car, 5 different locations. The shells were like hundreds of, like dozens of shells were like shooting at that building. So it was really big pressure. He decided to leave. He left as well. So to go to Belgrade and I was just, at that time, so when I was with him, I had some kind of power that I can help the Serbian people, I can help people. I was helping, you know, with connections and everything. When he left, so basically, you know, I was on my own. Well, not on my own. I went back. I was a professional, so they gave me a different assignment. But that's the reason why I wanted to put this picture of Ante Markovic. He was very prosperous and very respected in the United States, but his policy was not, unfortunately, not fulfilled and progressed. The left building is a building of presidency. The bottom left is actually just a few hundred yards away from the building of the presidency where the war started. And then the guy on the right side, I'm going to tell the story just in a little bit. Actually, let me tell you. So, second assignment, I got another Serbian guy, but he was a minister for the culture and the social justice, something like that, you know, sports and so. And his name was Nikola Kovac, and he ended up being ambassador in France. I supposed to go there with him, and they removed my name from the list. So the whole unit where I used to belong was kind of, they all the time they would like belong to different national parties. I was still considered the one who stick with this Ante Markovic, and so like a social economy justice and so, which means I was nobody because nationalists ruled the city, nationalists ruled the country, and so on. So every time when they put me the name on something that I'm supposed to go to Norway Olympic Games, that I can be their security, you know, Norway Lillehammer, you know, they remove my name. Anytime when they go to Geneva to a negotiation, they put me on the list, they remove my name. So this was also the French embassy. So he told me, so basically they actually put the pressure on him. Either you're gonna take him or you're gonna take out your son, because he's supposed to take his family. So either Adnan is gonna be there or your son. So I'm still a friend with his son. So anyway, during that duty as a Secret Service, you have a certain power, so that you can help. But also, you know the people. Sometimes you know more people than individual that basically that you are responsible for. You know the people around. So what happened is actually the guy who plays the cello, he was captured by the extreme unit in Sarajevo, and then he was forced to dig the trenches around the city. Musician digging the trenches, honestly, it's not a good formula for survival, right? So he managed to get sick leave for 2 or 3 days, and he immediately come to the minister. He said, "Can you just help me, because I'm not sure that I'm going to survive up there." He doesn't know how to shoot. He doesn't. But what he was doing basically, he would actually play the cello on the street all the time during the shelling and everything. He would go even to graves and play the nice, peaceful music. And so his name is Adnan Secic. So he was very famous. Many journalists would take a picture of him, and this is in one of the buildings that was destroyed, the city hall building in Sarajevo. And he came and he said, "Okay, well," and then that minister said, "Adnan, can you go to collect the signature from the different politicians and member of presidency, because I know their offices. So, and I would collect the signatures in agreement for this guy." And this guy was eventually managed to leave the city, to play with orchestra, and then he never returned. Thanks to God. He used to live in UK. He's now in Ireland. You still don't know who this guy is. Adnan Secic. He would play the Carol of the Bells, and also God Mary Ye Gentlemen. What's the name of this?
God bless you.
God rest you.
Rest you, Mary Jane.
Okay, those two songs. You know who take that theme from those two plays? Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Yes.
Oh, excellent, yeah.
Yes.
Trans-Siberian Orchestra. This guy, he doesn't know that I participate in helping him, but I was part of his release and so and so. His name is Adnan Secic. This is the third time that I'm saying that. And if you go to the Wikipedia and so, you'll be able to see that. So that's another story that I wanted to share. Interesting people that I met. The first one, Lieutenant General Satish Nambiar, he was the sent to coordinate Sarajevo UN troops. A very respected general, highly ranked general in India. So these people, I would collaborate with them, or they shake their hands and so and so. Lord David Owen, General Moriot, French general, President Mitterrand, and the left from him is a Kouchner, who is actually highly level politician in France. Especially when I used to be with this guy, that he was in France. President of Poland, Tadeusz Mazowiecki, met him several times. So, and it was a very good conversation. So I do have details, but he found out we were talking through the conversation because he likes to a sip. And so, and I told him that my father used to be a good plum brandy producer. He remembered me. The French philosopher Bernard Henry Lévy, he is still active, respectful, and he's a fighter for the Kurds right now. And do you know who's the lady in the middle between two of them? Susan Sontag. Susan Sontag was
Actor?
yeah, the philosopher, the poet, writer, and so on. So very respectful lady that she came to Sarajevo to support, and then they called me, they said, in between of the, if I didn't have any assignments, the VIPs, then I would actually go to diplomats. And so the reason why I'm assigned there, because I know the protocol of the protection. It is not that I'm like a Bruce Lee or anything, no. I do have a knowledge of certain using the guns and so, but there is a certain protocol that you have to follow, and that's the reason why. Susan Sontag was there. There's another interesting story on that, but anyway, so they called me, they said she needs to be protected, although the guy who was next to her said there's no need, and I said, okay, I'll be about like 30, 40 feet away from you. I'm not going to interact, but I just want to make sure that I followed it from distance, so I wasn't. So, but she wasn't in any danger. And because of that, I also, the person that I used to actually be responsible was the president of the Supreme Court. Very important figure during the war in Bosnia, and he died already. And I have a very interesting story with him. So he was taking care of me like his own son. And I asked him one day, listen, look like this police job is not for me. I like to leave. My wife, she already works for United Nations. Can I work for United Nations and be released from police? He picked up the phone, he said, let him go. So he deserved it. Because, you know, they're not, I'm not progressing with them. So it's just, I'm always doing some like different duties. And so, and then they let me go, and that's the reason why I end up in United Nations. However, you think you are going to go like to enjoy like a different lifestyle and everything. My wife, she helped me that. First day when I start working for United Nations, the top level general, he called me and my wife in the office because I didn't know English very well at that time. And he told her, tell him, he's not allowed to do his job, whatever he was doing in the police. Because he already knew what I was doing in police, like any type of intelligence. And I promised, and I said, I'm not going to do anything, you know, to harm the United Nations. And so later on, I was useful for some other, like small intel jobs, you know, that I provide information for United Nations, but I did not harm anything. But he would, top level general, he would find out, and then other generals, they immediately, they said, he's a good guy, his wife is good, he's my girlfriend. They're good people, don't worry about them. But, you know, because they were a little bit nervous because I left police and I would work for United Nations. So that's how it happened. So, but basically I worked for United Nations there as in a local motor pool. For me, it was a great experience seeing different type of armies in different countries. But I'm telling you, not just because I'm here in the United States, but American personnel sticks out with the behavior, with visualization, with all kind of stuff, no bribery and everything. Let's keep in mind that the United Nations is sometimes a rotten organization. You know, sometimes it can go in different routes. So because of the bureaucracy and such a thing. But the American personnel was really highly trained and highly level. Even we had an embargo at that time. We were not allowed to receive any military help or any support. United States sent the unit that was like firefighters. And those people, they didn't know how to put fire down. But I know they were intelligence officers. So we figured it out. So it was so fun. Everybody knew that. But it was just, but they were nicely built and so and so. And we would, in motor pool, we would help them. And also the American embassy rely on United Nations certain organizations to build their office from scratch. At that time, Ambassador Viktor Yakovic, he did not have the building per se, so, but he would actually rely on United Nations personnel that he can get support, either drivers, either cars, or such a thing. So, like I said, I was in the motor pool, and one day, UN vehicle came, and they had a flat tire. I was mainly doing that, that type of job, and oil change and stuff. And then the flat tire, the tire used to have a tube right inside. So I removed the outside tire, removed the inside, put the patch on, put it back, check the wires before that, make sure that everything is clean. As soon as I put the air, the tube tire broke again. I said, what's going on? Then I find a hole, put the patch again, put the tube tire back in the tire, then find out again, flat tire. Remove, and I said, what's going on? Took the scissors and cut the tube in half. As soon as I do that, the bullet from the sniper dropped down from the tube tire. Took the sniper, went to the office, and I said, sniper was shooting at you. Are you aware of that? They said, we heard the sound from the distance, but we were not aware of that. So basically it has been reported that the enemy side, whoever, somebody was shooting on the UN vehicle. So basically some things like, never leave you. So you have to be all the time present, even you're doing the basic job, you just find out, that something is following you. So basically I recognize the bullet immediately from the snipers that Yugoslav Army used to produce. So that's the story. So this is the picture how the UN vehicles look like and the checkpoints. On the right side, General Michael Rose with his commander, General Morion was that at that time. And this is how the US Embassy looks like at the moment now. So I'm a proud US citizen. I came here in the United States. So I'm married to my wife, Yasna, for 30 years. Actually, I did not change it. So we have one daughter, Nina, who is a medical PhD. She just earned her PhD yesterday, our daughter. Thank you. And we live in Ohio, born in Bosnia, became a US citizen in 1999. Hobbies, ski, skydive, scuba dive. And former hobbies, judo and rugby. So that's who I was in the past time. Now, all this stuff is actually brought me here that I was thinking, and I said, like Mark mentioned, why don't I start something about, American Allied veterans and supporters. My state of mind, during the socialism time, and so I never liked it. Let me tell you one story. 1986, 1987, they gave us the documentary movie Propaganda against the United States. The movie was called This is America. They would present extreme cases of what happens in America, like people eat warm animals. In California, they would put them in a blender. They would eat it. Homeless people in New York City, in a subway, they would kill the rats, and they would actually roast the rats on a fire. That's what they were presenting. They would present all kind of inappropriate stuff, nudity and everything. This is the freedom, right? This is a country. Anyone can be anything, but they would take the old extreme segments, and that was actually sponsored by military to actually show the Yugoslav people and turn them against, the West world and United States. So I never believed in that. Never believed in that. Those are the extreme, because I heard different stories. So, and state of mind was always telling me this is not right. The society where I used to live, and they lost. The communism fell down, socialism was falling apart, Soviet Union, all these countries, they were just falling apart. And when I was in United Nations, and I said to my wife, I'd like to go to the United States. I could go to Canada, I could go to Australia, I could stay in Europe, but I wanted to live here. So, and I start like loving this country and everything. Of course, we can find any negative points anywhere else, but you know, this is the optimal country for me and for my family. And I said, okay, how come I would like to start the organization American Allies, Veterans and Supporters. And the reason why, because there are 271 embassies around the globe, more or less. And consulates about 173. Based on the United Nations, there are 195 countries. Since World War II, there are 248 armed conflicts and 153 regions where the United States were directly involved. And there are 750 military bases around the globe. 10 or 15% of the personnel is actually in a military base is a local staff. Mark experienced that, right?
Many times.
Chefs, mechanics, drivers, interpreters, medical, anyone. And like myself in United Nations, working in United Nations, supporting the US troops, and so and so. And I said, I would like to start the organization. I would like to outline those members that they come here and they live in the United States. Either they're allies, but they could be supporters. They can support, they support the troops overseas over there. What happened in Afghanistan, like Mark mentioned, what happened in Vietnam, we shouldn't leave these people behind. Personally, I'm not looking any benefits for myself. I'm well set, thanks to God. However, there are some people that they might need help from over there. So, and I'm pretty open and open-minded, and then Mayor Dan Kilpatrick and Mark and a few other people, they helped me to start with this organization. So this is the mission: recognize the veterans and personnel who help the U.S. troops abroad. They continue to live here in the United States. Even some companies and corporations, they are interested basically to sponsor me with that. So my point here is just to share the story and share the state of mind. State of mind is attitude and mood present toward to this country. All this actually parameters about this country, democracy, freedom, support, and everything, and equal rights are optimal for individuals who wanted to have a good life here. However, there are people that they recognize that they work for NATO, they work in embassies and so and so. Maybe they don't have opportunity to come here in the United States. Or maybe individuals, they already end up here, but nobody listens their stories. I wanted to have people to hear these individuals, the stories, how we end up here being supportive over there. So, like I said, embassy, local staff, UN personnel, interpreters, local village citizens. Many times mechanics actually help the US troops fixing their vehicles and so and so, and maybe they were accused. Let's say that there's intensity. Bosnia was relatively safe for us and so, but in Afghanistan, in Iraq, and so and so, working for US or connecting with US, it is not pleasant coming back home to your village and so. So we need to make sure that those segment of people, they are supported. And AAVS members can be invited, that we can share the stories, like my story, and public speakings. And even US veterans, like Mark, he can share the story, you know, what was his experience with local staff and how he was supported over there. Did he have good experience or so? And my goal is to establish the network through the museums, through the different universities And so, and I wanted to, again, special thanks to Mayor Demke Praktik, Catherine and Mark, the Green County Community Foundation. They actually accepted my organization under their umbrella. Eugene Sanders, who is the admin for the Congressman Mike Turner, and Honor Fly Al Bailey. Thank you very much for listening. I hope you had a good time. So, and
Thank
good,
you.
yeah,
Thank you.
ask the questions. Thanks, I appreciate it. Very nice. I appreciate it.
How much support are you getting from the government, like Mike Turner and that group?
Well, Eugene Sanders, he's aware, Mike Turner, he's aware of it as well. So the first step is actually, they recommended to go to green giving first, and then he would continue the support and everything. It's kind of a little bit too early to get endorsement, but I'm getting very good support, and people are already donating the money. So even I built the polo shirt, you know, with the logo and everything. So it's getting there, but it's a little bit different organization. It's not actual veteran organization. And also, many people, they ask, what's in there for me? There's nothing except that you can share the story. I wanted to share the story. Yes, sir.
I have two questions. First of all, have you talked to the folks at Peace Museum downtown Dayton?
Which one?
Peace Museum, the International Peace Museum.
I know of them, they know of me, and I will talk to them. What's her lady name?
Chelsea?
Chelsea. Chelsea, I met her several times. I was actually, for Dayton Peace Accord, I met her to that purpose, and I was the one who actually gave the interview as a Bosnian War veteran. And I had the chance to meet Congressman Mike Turner at that time. So, and the PBS station was actually interview us.
Were you actually at the celebration of 30 years?
Yes, I was.
He was on TV.
Oh,
Yes, yes, I was. Yeah, I was there, and I was not part of the panel, but I was in audience, and observed many panels, and so met many politicians from Bosnia, even president of Kosovo, yeah, a lady. Met another couple of the NATO generals. So yeah, I was participant there.
Have you been in touch with the folks at the Air Force Museum?
Not yet.
They got a huge, I believe from what I remember, they still have a pretty big display about the Bosnian War at the museum, from the Air Force side.
Yeah, not yet. So this is just the still beginning of all these things. January, basically, we opened this organization. Mark and Dan Kirkpatrick actually are helping me. There's one gentleman who helped me to build the website. He was not able to come. His mother died, and he's back in Romania. He's going to be one of the members. He was in the Romanian army. So, and it will be interesting to hear all these stories. So basically, we are getting, I'm just going to outline all these folks and members. They are, you know, they serve different armies, but they end up living here and so on. So go ahead.
Have you, I'd like to see you go back about 5 screens to show the buildings,
Yeah.
right there. One more. That's right there. I want to take a picture of that.
Yep.
And what's your plans for the future around this this area? Do you live around here? Or you
Yeah, I live in Mason, and the future is basically, I like to build this as a nationwide. So different regions, like 14 regions, that each region would have a representative. That's my dream. However, it's going to be hard to collect all these members. But I like to give a people opportunity. Korean War veterans, Vietnam War veterans, and so they can be support on this. They can share their stories. So any persons, I know many people that they end up being supporting U.S. troops abroad, and they end up here in the United States. The only incentive is that just they can share the story and possibly help the future members to arrive here in the United States. That's it. Like I said, I'm not looking for any benefits of the Veteran Association because they have their own agenda, and I don't want to say problems, but there's always a struggle to support all veterans and so on.
So you're also, you're not only supporting the advancement of these folks that have been experiencing this situation, are you also focused on safeguarding the history?
Exactly.
Because
Yeah.
if we don't remember the history, we're gonna forget.
Exactly. Oh, I was just thinking when I was driving here, I was just thinking about that. If the people start changing the history, that's, to me, it's done, that's doomsday is coming. So, you know, it's unbelievable. You know, we need to be straight on who is right, who is wrong. Like a state of mind, what I'm saying,
Yeah.
that state of mind, what was the state of mind? And so, and we know that from the beginning in Yugoslavia, we know that Slobodan Milosevic was the dictator and he was aggressor for the rest of the country, and that's the reason why he ended up in the court, and him and his comrades there. More than 300 years, basically, they got punished in jail. Now, let me continue this. There are some people here, they're coming in this country, they don't like this country. They are still, their mind is still with some kind of regimes. This actually organization can give opportunity that you can disconnect yourself if you are support the right side of the history.
Right.
So that's a good question.
So I think some of it's happening now.
Two things, I'm trying to stay away too much from politics and religion because you're
So let's move on to something else then.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions?
I just have, what other countries do they tend to gravitate toward? Are there other countries besides the US, like you said, Australia maybe?
Yeah, if you go to visit my the website,
Uh-huh. It
so
tells-
you will see the flags and nations. Did you have a chance to see
Oh.
that website yet?
Not yet.
Yeah. So NATO countries, the NATO allies,
Oh, right,
so they're naturally inclined for democracy.
sure.
Especially about European Union, especially about all European that they are in NATO, Australia, New Zealand, and so on. So basically, we need to disconnect ourselves from the bad guys. Like President Bush said, you're with us or you're with the enemy.
Yeah.
So that's it. So that's good.
One more question.
Go ahead.
Are you a charitable organization? In other words, are you accepting donations?
Yes, I'm accepting. I'm a founder, and donations goes through the. That's a good question.
Green
Donation
Giving.
goes through the Green Giving organization. It is on my flyer. However, I'm going to give you the business card as well. I'm accepting the organization. The organization doesn't go through me, and also donations can go through the military museum here. Either way, it's going to go to that account. People are already start donating that, and because they know me when I present these stories, and so it's really good. So money will be used, like I said, to support the future members in need, and that also we can promote like good cause and history as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Adnan.
Thank you. Thank you guys again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And as always, I want to give you a little memento. Step on here.
Okay.
All right, so the Miami Valley Military History Museum Certificate of Appreciation. To all who shall see these presents, greeting. This certificate is awarded to Adnan Secic,
Yep. Perfect. Thank you.
American Allied Veterans and Supporters, in recognition of his support for the United Nations and the UN Protection Force, UNPROFOR, not I4,
That's right.
in Bosnia-Herzegovina, and his continued dedication, commitment, and support to the ideals of patriotism this 9th day of August in the year 2025. So,
All right. Thank you
thanks
so
for
much.
everything you're doing.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
I made sure I got the UNPROFOR part right,
UNPROFOR,
and
yeah.
not I4.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks everybody for coming out. As always, it's good to see you. And as always, make sure you tell your friends and family where we're at, and keep those donations coming. So thanks for coming.
Our pleasure. Thank you for having it. We do spread the word.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah.